Hello, and welcome to week 2 of PA211. This week we are in chapter 3 and 4, and so I wanted to lecture a little bit about what the chapters involve and then also what you should pay attention to. So this week you do have a discussion question, which again I really like. It is about give your own opinion. Again, like let's get to know who you are. This is an ethical opinion actually, and I'd love to see where you stand on the issue. So it talks about a pharmacy technician who is a certified pharmacy technician but does not have a license. And so as we're going into these law and ethics chapters, 3 and 4 is about law and ethics of the pharmacy, we know that you must have a state license in some states. For example, in my state, in the state of Missouri, you must be registered with the pharmacy board under a technician's license. And although you are still working under the pharmacist and then his or her license, you still have your own license that can be revoked if something happens or that you are known to be with the pharmacy or working in the pharmacy. So you're not even allowed to go behind the pharmacy without that kind of license. And so this question saying, so say you're supposed to have a license and you only have a certification, well, that's not gonna fly. With the state of Missouri, you do have to have a license. And so I believe the ethical thing to do would be to register with your state. And although you might have a husband who is a pharmacist, you still need to be registered. Even they were having cashiers have to register, those who were checking out drugs. Now, some of those laws are changing as we're seeing now, but for right now, that's where it stands. So I'd like to hear your issue on it in the discussion questions. Remember, those are due by Wednesday. If you're in a class with a smaller amount of students, you do have to have 2 peer reviews. So one of those will probably be coming from me, and you'll need to answer a question back to me to get your full points, and then another student answer your other student's question. So make sure to include 2 peer reviews. Okay, so just a quick rundown of what you are processing through chapter 3 and chapter 4. I'm going to start with chapter 3. They're really talking about diving into the pharmacy technician law and ethics. Now, the first 4 or 5 pages of the chapter talks a little bit about common law and the jargon with that. Skim through that. There's not a lot of background that I need you to know from there. What I really want you to stop at is the state level and where the law of pharmacy starts there. There's a paragraph about that, and it actually kind of refers back to you'll need to go to the pharmacy page in your state's legislative and see what that means. So there's not a lot of information there, but federal law in pharmacy, this is where across the board, this is what is taken very seriously in a pharmacy. And so actually you'll be tested a lot over these federal laws and that you'll need to memorize for your certification test. Also, you'll see this throughout your pharmacy program that these laws keep coming up. So you're kind of questioned a lot about that. So flagging this chapter, flagging this page where these laws are coming up would be really great for you to go, oh, I had this class and it had some laws about pharmacy. I'm going to go back and look and memorize that. Here are a few that I wrote down that just pop out to me that I know you'll need to know. 1906 Pure Food and Drug Act. You'll need to know that one. The Harrison Narcotics Act of 1914 says that opium is no longer to be sold without a prescription. Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act of 1938 says that all new drugs have to go through an application process. Durham-Humphrey Amendment of 1951. Remember, you do need to know the dates with the name. This says that all legend drugs have to have a prescription. Now, a legend drug is something that is sold behind the pharmacy. We don't call them over-the-counter. These are called legend drugs, anything that needs a prescription. There are 5 scheduled drugs. 1 is street drugs. They're not sold in the pharmacy. Schedule 1. This is heroin. This is meth. These drugs are so high above, very addictive, that they are not sold in the pharmacy. Scheduled 1 drugs. Schedule 2, this is where we start. This is the pain medication. that we talk about a lot. Some of our opioid addictions come from here. So make sure you read what is Schedule 2 and what drugs fall under that category. 3 through 5, these are all your legend drugs that don't require a controlled prescription, but they are different schedules, meaning they do have a different control rate, a different schedule. Make sure that you look at that. When we're also ordering controlled substances, whether that be 2 or 3, we're looking at a DEA form 222, and the pharmacist has to fill this out. It's not something that we can do. It actually has to come from the pharmacist. It's their license on the line, so they have to sign for it. But make sure you put that into memory. DEA form 222 is how I ordered controlled substances. Chapter 4, very quick, medical terminology. We're talking about the root, the suffix, the prefix, what kind of parts of those words are we looking at to really make sense of how the drugs work? And I love that they break down into different sections. They say, okay, these are all your reproductive prefix and suffix, and these are all your cardiac prefix and suffix, meaning heart. This is all your urinary, renal. I love that. So make sure that you really look through that. Something that sticks out to me are the prill drugs. These are for your heart. There is, or your blood pressure, excuse me. Then there is some, like the PAM drugs, I like to call them, alprazolam, which is Xanax. And these are the ones that help to calm your nerves. So make sure that you read over that. These things should stick with you because when you're looking at a drug and looking at their generic names, it will then tell you later, oh, it's a prill drug. Although I've never seen this before, I know what it's for. So it should be very helpful. Make sure to spend some time in Chapter 4. All right, remember you also do have an assignment 1 through 8, questions 1 through 8. Use your book, and then you have a quiz as well. Also use your book there. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.